We are here today to check out some more cricket.
But should we just call it like Cricket Tuesday or something like that?
Cricket Tuesday.
Cricket Tuesday.
Cricket Tuesday.
It was repeating itself. Didn't we just see that?
It's so true, though.
Okay, well, first of all,
true.
Mitch Johnson, Brett Lee, MS Dhoni, with all that boring stuff out of the way, this is a very important, momentous occasion. All right, welcome back to Boring Reviews. Nick here.
Gabe, the Night Watchman.
And Gabe and I are bringing you another episode of Cricket Tuesday. Oh, wow, that was lackluster. And it's fitting that it was a little lackluster because real quick, I got a poll for you real quick. We'll probably throw it on the community page and everything. We are thinking now that Boring Reviews is going very strong in its direction and Cricket for Americans is going very strong in this direction. For us, it's making less and less sense to do Cricket Tuesdays on Boring Reviews. We're thinking about switching that over to Cricket for Americans. Let us know, please, in the comment section. First of all, I got two questions for you. Are you a subscriber of both channels? And would you like to see Cricket Tuesday over on CFA? Let us know. Comment below. We'll do a poll as well. But this could be potentially our final Cricket Tuesday on Boring Reviews. So we're going to do something a little different for our final one. It's going to be kind of a CFA action. Gabe, what are we doing today?
All right, so as you can see, I got the IPL gear on right over here. My CSK Super Knights, right? The Chennai Super Kings, and
the champions. Oh no,
the champions. And guys, it's going into auction season. Okay, so today is November 1st. Basically, they've got the next 30 days from today till November 30th to make their selections on who they're going to retain, which is huge, specifically this year because there's two new teams or two new franchises being added to the IPL. And for the uninitiated, the IPL is the biggest domestic tournament in cricket, okay? Players from all over the world are retained there. It's the most profitable tournament. I mean, everybody and their mother wants to play in the IPL. And there's a lot of good competition, a lot of fun. Nick and I both follow it. Last year, his Mumbai Indians won. This year, my Chennai Super Kings won. So, and just before you guys get in the comments, those of you who aren't a follower of both channels, we both selected the teams prior to last year's selection. All right, that was like when we first started watching cricket. We decided which teams, which franchises we were going to go
2 years, baby.
So, with that being said, Nick, I know you want to give the direct. It's going to be a little bit of a different video, but it's going to talk about, we did a mini auction. And it was on CFA, guys. That was one of the funniest things ever. We were on there chatting with people, losing our minds. People were losing their minds with selections when guys were getting way overpriced and other guys went really, really cheap. And I think it's such a unique thing. I don't think any American sport has anything close to the auction, which is why we were so intrigued about it. We're super excited for the mega auction instead of the mini auction.
Ooh. Yeah, the mega auction, for all intents and purposes, I'm hearing January or December, so just a few months away. So we're going to be talking about who we think each squad's going to retain. We're going to go through all 8 existing IPL squads, who they're going to retain. We're not going to get into who we predict is going to be on the new franchise, but basically the rules are thus. 4 players can be retained. You can either have 3 Indian players and 1 overseas, or 2 and 2.
Right.
And after those players are retained, where the deadline should be November 30th, then the new franchises are able to pick a maximum of any 3 players before the auction starts of anyone that wasn't retained. Right. So if you don't retain yourself a Jasprit Bumrah, which you'd be insane not to, then he can go to the new franchise and be the face of that franchise.
Right.
And with each of the players you retain, you get a certain amount of guaranteed money for those players that are retained in the order they're retained in. If you don't retain 4, then you lose some of the purse money that goes to the total budget. All the budgets have been increased. I think this is the biggest budget for each team, biggest purse, all that kind of stuff. So we are going to talk about who we have in this retention process. Please interact with us. Comment below after you like and subscribe, and let us know who you got for each squad. We would love to see your rundown. Let us know if you agree with us. Like Gabe said, we got 2 years under our belt. And plus, there's going to be some factors here, Gabe. Before we get to the squads, let me get some factors to you. Renelle asked us on Instagram. She says Josh Butler's losing his mind, right? As we're recording this, a century for the game against Sri Lanka. She said, do you think he's going to get a lot of money next year? And that makes me think. Okay, tell me if you disagree or agree. People are going to be making money or losing money based on performance in this World Cup because guess what? It ends this month, correct?
Right.
And then they're figuring out to retain right now. So Josh Butler's going crazy left and right. All these teams, they're putting them on their board right now. They're putting on their board the Royals, right? The Royals are like, we got to keep this guy. He's got to be retained. So a lot of guys are going to be making some money in this IPL because the World Cup's in here right now. What do you think about that?
No, you're absolutely right. And to one up you on that, or not one up you, but to kind of piggyback on that thought. Last year, Moeen Ali, in one game, lost his absolute mind. Right? He had like 6 sixes in and over, and people were laughing like, "Oh, that's his audition for the IPL." He was like one of the third or fourth highest paid players in the mini auction or whatever, because that's just what it is. You know what I mean? Recency bias, all that good stuff. Yeah, I could see Josh Butler, because of how well he's performed lately, being kept, because it's like, if you let him go, you're not going to get him back. But then it's tough because you look at it and say, okay, who am I going to keep? Do you want to keep so many overseas players? So it's a very interesting dynamic, and I'm just excited to talk about it.
Absolutely. I got one thing wrong. Let me just fix this real quick. Each team's going to have a fixed purse of 90 crores each. And if a team retains 4 players, then a total of 42 crore will be deducted for those players. And then 3 players, a total of 33. So all those things out of the way, I'm ready to get right into the squads. And so Gabe and I have already made our selections. We're going to be reading from our squads. We have not shared our selections with one another. Right. We're going to start with CSK. And as the resident CSK fan, why don't you start us off?
Well, the champions are actually in a tough situation this year because MS Dhoni, for all intents and purposes, should be retiring, but he hasn't announced it yet, and they've got like 30 days to make up his mind. He should be going out on his swan song, going out on top. With that being said, I have to plan as if the guy wants another year. Let's be honest. No athlete knows when to walk away. Then the majority of them don't, okay? They always retire way too late. So with that being said, you got to spend one of your attentions on MS Dhoni. Now, if MS Dhoni's not retained, I'll have a backup. But for me, it's going to be really simple. You're going to go with Ruturaj Gaikwad, all right? The young boy, emerging Indian batsman, opener. The guy last year came out, last 3 games of the season, he scored like 50 runs each game consecutively, which had never been done for CSK by any player. And then, or 3 half centuries, I should say. Same thing, 50 runs, 3 half centuries. And then this year, he went off again, won himself the yellow cap. So you're getting at like a yellow cap, geez. The orange cap.
You wish.
We call it the yellow cap, though. He won himself the orange cap, so which means he had the most runs scored. The guy was a monster. We're going to keep him. We're going to keep his partner in crime, Faf du Plessis. He finished second in the yellow cap, okay? He leads the young boy. They have a great partnership together. Faf still has another year or 2 under his belt, in my opinion, and I think you end up keeping Faf. Jadeja may be the best all-rounder in the world. He's probably going to take over as captain if MS Dhoni does end up retiring. So for me, I end up keeping Jadeja. And that's my 4, MS Dhoni, Ruturaj Gaikwad, Faf du Plessis, and Jadeja. Now, if MS Dhoni retires, that's when it gets interesting. Because you really want to build your team with the core of Indian players, because that will allow you to be more flexible in the auction with who you're going to get. And a lot of people like Deepak Chahar as a bowler. You want to kind of get a bowler in there. But I like Thakur, bro. I like Lord Thakur, Shardul Thakur, because the guy can absolutely rake too. Wow. And I would go with Thakur over Deepak Chahar. I wouldn't go with Dwayne Bravo because I think he's getting older. I think you could just get him back in the auction cheaper. So for me, those are my retentions. Nick?
Wow. So we have the same identical first 4 if MS Dhoni is coming back. And he's going to have to make an announcement. Do not retain me. I am retired, because if not, they're in a tough spot. They've got to keep him. And I know most fans will say they're not in a tough spot. He's fantastic. They're in a tough spot. Faf, again, I don't want to do the age thing, but he's getting older, but you've got to keep him in there. He just like you said, second in the orange cap. If MS Dhoni doesn't go in, I would take Shahar over Thakur, just because it's going to be a running theme for me. Established bowlers, established pacers, or established spinners, but especially established pacers. You got to have him. And Deepak Chahar is that anchor for that squad. I understand why you would go with Thakur. He's more of that, like, what have you done for me lately type pick, but I got to go with Chahar. But everything else is exactly the same. And you guys will notice on the little screenshots I have here of our picks, certain names are left out there on the squads this year, that's because, I'm sorry, but those guys have no chance of being the retained players, all right? So let's go on to DC. I'll go ahead and start with DC. So a lot, man, it's so tough because you look at the roster, you just ask yourself, how have they not won a championship the last 2 years, right?
Yeah.
But this is going to be one of the few squads because then I'm going to go with 2 overseas, 2 Indian players because if I'm an IPL team, I want to have all Indian players because the superstar Indian players, you got to have them, right?
Right.
But this team, I got to stick with 2, and I'm going with bowlers. Oh, I feel so gross about it, so nasty. I'm taking Kagiso Rabada and Anarik Norkia. I'm retaining those guys. I'm not doing any particular order for any of these lists, but I'm retaining those guys. I'm retaining Rishabh Pant, and I'm retaining Dewan. It was really tough to leave off Shaw. It was tough to leave off Shreyas Iyer, for crying out loud, the former captain. It was tough for me to leave off Chris Wilkes.
I can't believe you left off Chris Wilkes. Now I know you took it seriously.
But you got to remember, I'm not a DC fan, right? I like DC. I have nothing against them, but I'm not a fan of their squad. So hopefully Chris Wilkes can go somewhere else, right? To the promised land. But those are the 4 I got. I got 2 overseas, which is so tough to do. And that's not that they're going to lose Shaw. They got to pay for him. But you don't want to lose any Indian players that are of that caliber.
Right. So for me, dude, I had to go with the same players you mentioned, but I'm the bowling guy. I didn't go with Rabada. I had to switch it up. Didn't go with Rabada.
This year, you're done, baby.
Didn't go with Rabada. I went with Prithvi Shaw, who's already got the opening partnership with Shikhar Dhawan, along with the captain, Rishabh Pant, and then Norkia. I had to go with that strong Indian core of batsmen. You got to go with Rishabh Pant, who's your captain, right, and wicketkeeper. And just the partnership between Shaw and Shikhar Dhawan is so dynamic, bro. I don't want to break that up, okay? They had like the highest partnership other than CSK's opening partnership this season. They did the same thing the year before that. I love these guys. And why Norkia versus Rabada? I just feel like Rabada he wasn't as effective as Norkia was, in my opinion, especially in the second half of the year. So more recency bias there. And I'd rather have Norkia. That's just, my preference.
Let me just say something to that real quick, because I have not looked into it, and I'll trust your information there about the second most productive opening partnership. I felt like in every single match, one of those 2 guys was not lasting 20 balls. That's how it seemed like to me, because you had to pick your poison. One of them was going to last 50 balls or more. One of them was not. And so I think it's actually an issue with the opening partnership. I don't know if they don't gel well. They're both big run scorers, so I think you get big scores by default. But I don't think they have the chemistry. So I don't want to say goodbye to Prithvi Shaw, because you're right. You got to get some openers, Indian openers. But I don't know. Maybe it was just this year. But I respect your pick, because Prithvi Shaw, I had 5 on accident. He was the first one I had to take off because he's too dynamic. For sure.
Now, going to go to my squad, my second squad, okay, the mistress, KKR. KKR is bro, this team is so unpredictable. And they went from last to first, and it was all because of the captaincy of Owen Morgan, and it absolutely was. Owen Morgan may arguably be the best captain or one of the best captains, period. And then, people were saying, oh, well, that's only because he follows the plan of who's not Cummins, who's the coach there?
It's McCullum.
McCullum, right? Is he following the plan now in the World Championship? What are the English so far? 6-0, and Owen Morgan's still mad scientist, opening up with spinners sometimes, doing whatever he wants to do. So he's just such a good captain. It's hard to keep him off, Nick. It really, really is, and that puts me in a situation where I'm sick to my stomach.
So true.
I'm sick to my stomach, but I'm going to leave him off. I'm going to go with Andre Russell, because Andre Russell's going to be – you may not get him back if you drop him, okay? Shubman Gill, who I think is the Indian batsman opener, he's going to be the future captain of this team. I know it's too young to give it to him now, but you're going to have to give it to him now, or maybe Russell, but you don't really want to deal with the overseas captain. You got to go with Varun Chakravarti. Varun Chakravarti is such an unbelievable spinner, unbelievable bowler. You need good bowlers. And to round up my Indian team, I gotta go with Venkatesh Iyer. It was between him and Owen Morgan, but Venkatesh Iyer either took wickets or gave you 30, 40 runs, sometimes half centuries, almost every game since he came back up. You gotta keep him. So to me, those are the guys I'm gonna retain. How about you, Nick?
Ooh, I love it. I love it so much. So I went the other route because Owen Morgan is so weird. He can honestly be like the first guy you retain or the guy you don't retain at all. He's that kind of player. And even for England today, I'm watching this match that England was able to come back and beat Sri Lanka when I thought they were going to lose. And Owen Morgan was like 6 runs on 15 balls. And I'm losing my mind. I'm like, he's garbage. Why is he on the squad? And then he goes 6, 6, 4. Right. And I'm like,
he got hot.
You just saved your job. You just saved your job. But I have him. I'm retaining him because, like you said, he helped captain them to a champion, or not the champion, to the finals.
Right.
And you can't replace a captain too easily. I got Shubman Gill, I got Chakravarti, and I got Venkatesh Iyer. So I don't have Russell. Which of those 4 did you not go with? Because I can't remember now. Oh, Owen Morgan.
Didn't go with Owen Morgan.
Yeah, so we have the other same 3 guys because you got to have Gill. He's your future. Right. Chakravarti is one of the most elite spinners out there. And Venkatesh Iyer. If they don't retain him, I'm sorry, but if they're too dumb to not retain him, oh man, he's gonna be the hottest girl at the party, man. I mean, it's gonna be, hey, come over here, have some drinks with us. It's on us because this guy is a stud. He did nothing but impress. Even if he is a fluke, he's getting paid, baby. Right. So please don't retain him. And RCB will welcome open arms. And Mumbai was like, we have more superstars on our team. Please, come on.
I'll take them.
Yeah. So let's go to Mumbai. Speaking of Mumbai, go ahead.
Yeah, your squad, Mumbai. I'm interested because they've got just about as many good players as DC. It's a nightmare. I want to see what you're gonna do.
It's tough. It's super tough right now. Let me start with the easy one. Sharma and Bumrah. There's no even question about it. No thinking about those guys. Got to have your captain. You got to have Bumrah, your top pacer. After that, it's super tough because you have so many players that you can make arguments for. You really can. There's about 5 or 6 players you can make arguments for. But I'm going with 2 overseas in addition to those 2. Trent Bolt. I know. I'm going back between Ishan Kishan, who's not my retain list, and Trent Bolt. Trent Bolt was not even a shadow of himself last year. But that's the same thing that happened when he was on DC, let him go, and he was a monster with Mumbai. I think it was DC. So I'm going to give him another chance. Him and Bumrah, you're talking about opening partnership, opening pacer partnership. Give me a break. Right. And then Quinton de Kock. Quinton de Kock, personally, didn't love the situation that happened with the kneeling. I really didn't. And I thought it was going to have bigger reverberations than it seems to have had, right? But he made a statement, and he's too talented to not retain at this point. Right. He's a wicket keeper. He's got skills there. He can open. He's too talented, and I would put him above Ishan Kishan as far as who you got to have on your squad. So that rounds up my top 4, but it was close. Ishan Kishan is my first guy out. That means, sorry, Pollard. Sorry, Pandya's brothers. Sorry, Rahul Chahar. I'm sorry, Sky. I know you're going to pick Sky. I already know that. Oh. But I mean, too many guys to let out.
So this is how much I love this team. And I couldn't pick a bowler, bro. Other than Bumrah, I could not pick a bowler. It was so tough. I'm like, Bumrah, Trent Bolt. I mean, dude, they are stacked. You know, NCN. You know I love me some Nathan Coulter now. But it was brutal, bro. I had to go with Bumrah, but it was just like by default, bro. But it was so tough. So real quick, I went with Rohit Sharma, the captain, of course. I went with Jasper Bumrah, of course. Sky, baby. Come on now. You know I'm going with Sky. Surya Kumar Yadav. And how did you not take Pollard? You want to get Pollard? Listen, every single team is praying that the Mumbai Indians don't go with Pollard because they've all been Pollard at some point. And guys, definition of a Pollard is, Pollard is not just a noun. It's also an adjective. It describes getting pumped, all right? It just guys getting pumped in and over.
It's also a verb.
It's also a verb. Okay. An action verb.
I know. I'm being really risky there because I know it's going to happen. He does it every time.
Wow. I would not risk getting Pollard, brother. So that's why the only reason I think that Mumbai keeps him is because of that. So Rohit, Boomer, Pollard, and Sky. I could see them going with Quentin DeCock because you're right. Wicket keepers are hard to come by. And I just think that they might want to stay away from the controversy. I think if you go between Ishan Kishan and Sky, you go Sky, no questions asked. Ishan Kishan to me is way too inconsistent. But that's just my opinion on that. But Nick.
Interesting.
Now, the Punjab Kings. Very interesting team.
Yeah.
Very interesting team. This team, you're going to say right now, I'm going to give you a disclaimer. I'm not going to retain their best player, and I'm going to tell you why. Because I've been told players can turn down retentions, okay? And although everybody's going to say, no KO Rahul, he's already come out and say he does not, he wants out. So if I'm Pretty Zinta and I go ahead and blow a retention on KO Rahul, and he decides to say, no, I don't want it, no thank you, I just wasted my retention, right? So I don't know. Maybe you think of it differently. I'm interested to hear your thoughts. But I'm going with Mayank Agarwal. I'm going with Mohammad Shami, all right? Even though Shami's a little older in the tooth, Mohammad Shami had actually a really good season in the IPL. So I'm going with Shami, go with the bowling. I'm going with Bishnoi. I think Bishnoi is one of the most talented, absolute talented young bowlers. I don't know why it took till game 8 for them to bowl him again this year. Hint, hint. Figure it out, okay? And then for me, I was torn between two players because I need an overseas player. And man, I want to say the universe boss, but I don't even think he wants to be there because of how they treated him. I just think it's at this point, just tear, blow it apart. You don't need it. So I'm probably going to go with Milan. I'm going to go into Milan. They just recently grabbed Milan, and I think Milan to be become part of that opening partnership along with Mayank Agarwal. Once you lose KO Rahul, makes sense.
We almost had the same exact list. Almost. Now, I agree with you. The KO Rahul, it's like the MS Dhoni. He's got to, if I'm running the team, I got to know what you're doing, my friend. So
he already said he wants out. He said he wants out. What else does the guy got to do?
Well, then I'm not going to, like you said, I'm not going to take any risks. And if he said that, bye. It sucks, right? But I know some teams, and not just IPL, just teams in general. I know some teams, right? They're gonna have that ego. You leave when you leave, and they waste that money. We saw it with the guy with the Pittsburgh Steelers and everything. We've seen it before, right?
Le'Veon Bell. Yeah.
So I have the same three guys you mentioned. If KRL was not there, Agarwal, Shami, Ravi, Bishnoi. But the one I went with, and this guy's making himself a whole lot of money right now. Whole lot of money in the World Cup. And your boy Milan is not making himself a lot of money right now. No. And I'm talking about Chris Jordan. That's right. I said it. Chris Jordan. Look at the overseas players they have. Fabian Allen, I like him a lot, right? Nicholas Perron, I've not even seen him exist in the IPL. But Chris Jordan, he's making himself some money. Like Gabe says, the bag. I mean, he is making some money right now.
Oh, my God.
Man, the match. He had 2 wickets again today. He is disgusting. And he is a death bowler. And they never use him, so they're not going to retain him. But I would.
You know what? They need to check those balls, all right? He's scuffing the balls. Sandpaper gate all over again. Check under his nails. Something. A guy doesn't go from being that bad to all of a sudden dominating at the big stage in the World Cup. Now,
who's he hanging out with? Who's he hanging out with? My man, Chris Wokes.
Chris Wokes is the one, as his bowling coach, saying, all right, now this is what you want to do. No more
full all the credit.
No more full tosses, all right? Watch your line and length there. No more full tosses there, Jordan, because you get pumped every time you try.
What's crazy is full tosses were working today. What was that, Sharjah? That was crazy.
Oh, man. You're right, brother.
We got Rajasthan Royals coming up next. And this one's tough because you had some overseas players that were not there, right? And I didn't even put Josh Butler on the list here. I'm not sure how. Maybe he wasn't on there originally. So I'll make sure I add Josh Butler there. But Josh Butler is making himself a whole bunch of money right now. But this is where it's tough. Let me tell you who I had before I realized I even have Josh Butler on there. I had Sanju Samson, the captain.
Right.
I had Ben Stokes.
Right.
I had Tyagi because he was a monster this year. Nope. And I had Jais Wall because he was a monster. So I got to take Tyagi off there and add Josh Butler on there. But if I do that, Okay, I have 2 overseas and 2 Indian players. So once again, another team that has 2 and 2, but I've got to do it that way. I like Tyagi a lot, but he's got to be the first one off for Josh Butler because I totally forgot about him.
Yeah, this is another team where I've sold out. My whole bowling is everything is gone. Not one bowler retained over here because I'm going with Samju Samson. I'm going with Ben Stokes, Josh Butler, and his partner in crime, the opener, Jaiswal. I love Jaiswal. You know, I've been talking about Jaiswal for 2 seasons. He was supposed to be my emerging player last year. Didn't get it. This year should win emerging player if it wasn't for who else went off this year that was emerging player quality. Actually, Jaiswal might win it. I don't think anybody. Oh no. Also, Gaikwad still qualified as an emerging player this year. So
Did he still qualify?
Yeah, because he only played 3 games last year. Remember, they bought him up at the end. He hadn't played at all.
Yeah.
So I mean, for me, dude, I think that this is one of those few teams where you're going to go in with no bowling. So whoever Mumbai doesn't keep, I'm helping you guys out here, okay? Rajasthan Royals, Moneyball, Mr. Moneyball. This is the Moneyball team, by the way. They use sabermetrics.
Love it.
Keep your sticks and then go out and get some bowling. Nicholas, I'm leaving the next one up to you because this is your squad. RCB. Who do you retain?
I can't believe I just made that noise. I hate it when guys on sports shows go, sounds so weird. But who do I got for RCB? Oh, man. Obviously, Virat Kohli, not even a question. Obviously, Paddy Cole. But then after that, it gets interesting, right? Because A.B. de Villiers was not the alien this year, and I'm not even sure if he wants to play moving forward. Maybe he does. I don't know. Shahal is one of their mainstays. You got Purple Patel that showed up this year. You have Siraj, one of my favorites. You have Glenn Max. I mean, you have so many guys. Hasaranga is making himself a whole lot of money right now in the World Cup as well.
Woo!
But this is what I went with. Kohli, Paddy Cole, as you like to say, Purple Patel, and Glenn Maxwell is my overseas player. That's why I went with Glenn Maxwell. Did not show up in the playoffs, but he really showed up and helped support Kohli and Paddy Cole and AB in the lineup. Got to bring him back and hope that lightning can strike twice. Paddy Cole's their future. Virat Kohli's not going anywhere. And Harshal Patel. How do you not retain him and pay that man and bring him back after that performance? Because even if it's a one-time wonder, even though he's been in the IPL for several years, you take that chance. But you're leaving off Shahal. You're leaving off A.B. de Villiers. You're leaving off Siraj. Oh, man.
Tough situation. So for me, Nick, I went at this strategically, right? So what I mean by strategic is, right away, it's Virat Kohli, Paddy Cole, no questions asked. Then I'm going with Glenn Maxwell, the big show. So if I do that, I would be tempted to take Hasaranga, right? Because he's been amazing in the World Cup. But you cannot play both Glenn Maxwell and Hasaranga because you're going to need at least one overseas pacer. You got to. So if that's the situation, you don't want to have a guy that you got to sit down, or you can only play if somebody else plays. Now, again, this is a situation if we're talking about A.B. de Villiers not playing, because if A.B. de Villiers plays, then you're really up against it, because you definitely are going to need domestic help with bowling, right? If A.B. de Villiers comes back, you definitely need domestic help with bowling. But let's say A.B. de Villiers doesn't come. Am I really going to go with Hasaranga, even though he's an all-rounder, as my lead pacing, guy to lead my bowlers? No, I'm probably going to go with another Kiwi like Kyle Jamieson was last year, or NCN, or whoever doesn't get picked up on another team. So I went with Mohammad Siraj because the guy has pace, and you're going to be able to, you need the bowlers. He's either a good spinner or a good pacer. I think he's a good pacer.
Not Purple Patel, huh?
Not going with Purple Patel because he's, the thing about Purple Patel is a lot of people said, listen, the slow ball worked for him because of how slow the pitches were, especially out there in the UAE. But Purple Patel, although we think of him as a young guy, he's not really a young guy. He's been around for a while. He just wasn't good. All right. Siraj has done it for a while. So I'd rather have my up front guy that's not quote unquote a specialist like Purple Patel, who's supposedly going to be the guy just won the purple cap. But me personally, I don't think they retain him. But that's me.
Well, I mean, you can also look at that law of averages. The guy is not going to have back-to-back amazing seasons more than likely. All right, give me your SRH choices.
SRH is this team again. All their best players are overseas. That's what's wrong with this team, brother. All their best players are overseas. It's ridiculous what they did, and hopefully they build better. But with that being said, your best player is overseas, so you got to keep him. You're starting with Kane Williamson. That's going to be your captain. You got to keep on Rashid Khan, which means you got to let go of all your other overseas players like Johnny Beressow, like Jason Holder, because you can't play those guys. You can only keep 2 right now, like you said. It's got to be 2 and 2. So I'm going to keep Natarajan. All right, Natarajan, or people keep saying it's Natarajan. The Yorker specialist, right? He throws those Yorkers, good in the depth. You need bowling. And then, man, it is so tough, Nick. Can I just say I don't want to keep another guy? I know I lose some of my
you don't
honestly,
have to, you don't have to.
Honestly, the rest of this team is trash,
you
bro.
Keep, you got to pay.
Manish Pandey, trash, okay? Priyam Grog, trash, all right? Abdul Samit, trash. You know who I'm going to keep? I was going to, I mean, Saha, because he's the wicket keeper and it's hard to get a good wicket keeper. So I'm probably going to keep Saha. But I don't even want to keep Booby. Booby was just a shell himself, and Booby did not look good the last time out with the international team. So to me, that's my 4.
So, sounds good. My very first choice is easy. It's Khalil Ahmed all day long. This guy's amazing. Now, that's not a knock on Ahmed. That's a joke about myself because I had chosen to win it 2 years ago. Oh, and I still love this guy because of that pick. No, I didn't pick Ahmed. I started with Kane Williamson as well. I went to Rashid Khan as well. 2 best players, overseas players is the problem. I went with Natarajan, I think that's how you say it, 3rd, like you did. And then I went with Pandey just because I want an opener. I want a guy, he's usually number 2. I want a guy who has some stability. And, Saha's good. I didn't even think about that. I saw his name right here, didn't even think about it. But I went with Pandey just a little more than Saha. Now, those are our retentions. Some teams may not retain 4. Some may only retain 3. We understand that just because a team doesn't retain a player doesn't mean they can't get that player back. It happens all the time. We understand that. But the most dangerous thing this year is you have those new franchises. They have until the 25th of December. They're going to take 6. And so when you leave your guy unprotected, there's a chance especially if he's on one of these teams that's just loaded right now, you can't guarantee that you can just outbid for him in the auction. So the auction is going to be fantastic. We're going to be covered on Cricket for Americans.
Not to cut you off, Nick. Here's another thing that I did when I did my selections in mine. I'm sure you did too, right? We both happen to pick a lot younger guys because you're building a franchise here for the next 5+ years. It's not like they have mega auctions every year. You know what I'm saying? I think it'll be a couple years, like 3 years before or 4 before we even get a mini auction. So that's why Dhoni, and just saying this is killing me. Dhoni's got to say, am I actually going to be here another 5+ years? Probably not. So, you know what I mean? It's just guys.
You better be crossing your fingers and hoping.
We're up against it. And I understood with going some of these younger players because of that. You know what I mean? There are going to be some older players that are left off, Nick. But I think that really, to Nick's point earlier, CSK, don't fool yourselves. We're up against it, okay? Venkatesh Iyer. There were some other nice guys that I liked on KKR, but Venkatesh Iyer is a young guy. You want the young guys because who's going to be good 5 years from now? That's why RCB, even if AB de Villiers wants to stay, how long do you get an AB de Villiers for? 2 years? Maybe 1? You know what I mean? It's tough, man. It even makes me think about my 5 pick, to be honest with you. But, it's like...
Well, he was going so strong, and he doesn't play any international, so he rested up. You got to go with that, and he keeps himself in amazing shape. I really think that Dhoni's done. I really do, unless there's been an announcement he's made that I'm not aware of, which I'm not. I think he's done. I think his mentoring with Team India right now is kind of like telling of him getting his feet wet, even though it's not working out too well for Team India. Oh, man. But I'm not saying it's Dhoni's fault. But I think that he is such a team guy that if he's even thinking he's not going to go for the next 2 or 3 years, he's going to let him know, don't retain me. It's okay. Because he knows he's got a spot there forever, no matter what happens.
Right.
And let us know your thoughts, guys. Don't forget to comment below. This is a longer video, but there's 8 teams to go through. Let us know who you think is going to stay, who's going to be unprotected. Let us know also if you're a subscriber of both channels and if you would like to see Cricket Tuesday over on CFA or if you want to keep it here. Let us know. Comment below. And until next time.
That's 6 rounds.